とちょっとね、2時過ぎに出かけることになったんで、まあ家族でね、ちょっと30分ぐらいですけど音読をして、その後出かけて、まあ出かけても外でも勉強はするんですけど、まあとりあえずね30分でもやれることやっていこうと思いましてでアカデミックテーマ別英単語アカデミック初級編、パッセージ7 What can be patented のパート1とパート2を音読していきたいと思いますまあね、せっかく勉強できる仕事のない日なのになぜ出かけるかというとですね、まあそうしだすとね、もう家族と全くほとんど時間帯とかも含めあんまり、一緒にいる時間がなくなっちゃうんで、出かけるのは出かけるけど、その普段ねパパ側が運転してっていうのをもう助手席で勉強していいと。で出かけてからも勉強していいと。まあだから一緒に行動はするけど勉強していいっていう、そのちょっと折衷案を取りまして、なので出かけるのは出かけることになりましたなるんですよ、今後もねある程度ねなんですけど、なるべく一緒に行動はするけどでも勉強はしてるっていうねその辺のちょっと間を取るっていう家族会議があったので、まあ、そうしたいなとまあ、あと音読するんでちょっとねうるさいなという人はまた別の機会に一緒に勉強しましょう。まあなんか聞き流して多少はいいかもなっていう人は、まあ、ちょっと聞き流しつつ、それをっていうのはあれ出かけて勉強するの？まあじゃあ配信しましょう。出かけた後ね、まあ移動中ちょっとあれですけど、まあ全部さらけ出してきますよ。よし、ちょっと30分弱ですけど、こういう時間は音読にしよう。はい。まあ時計もいらないですよね。2時まで。まあでも時計があった方がいつまでやるかわかるか。じゃあ25分で。まあでも出かけてからね、隙あらば勉強配信をやっていきます。これあれかな、せっかくだから文章おじさんのね顔見ててもしゃあないんだね。これでいこうか。不思議な試み。 っていきます。Patentability is also limited in most jurisdictions to certain types of subject matter. あ、2を読んでた。When they first appeared, several hundred years ago, patents were handed out as favors and could confer monopolies for any kind of subject matter. In time, this was seen as being unfair on the public at large, and it was decided that patents should only be given for inventions. The immediate problem, therefore, was to decide what an invention was, and this has been the subject of much legal debate for many years. Nowadays, a reasonably objective test has been developed to determine whether something is a patentable invention, although the legal debate continues on a case-by-case basis as to whether a particular concept meets the requirement or not. Nowadays, a reasonably objective test has been developed to determine whether something is a patentable invention, although the legal debate continues on a case-by-case basis as to whether a particular concept meets the requirement or not. Fundamentally, patents relate to technical concepts, and in particular the underlying features that make them advantageous. In order to assess patentability, a new concept described in a patent is tested against everything in the public domain. Before the patent was first filed in the US, in some cases, an extra 1 year grace period is sometimes available. This public domain information is usually termed the prior art. The test is in fact twofold, with the two limbs being novelty and inventive step. The first question, therefore, is a subject matter novel? In order to have novelty, it must be different from the prior art. However, as far as novelty is concerned, just how different does not matter. In order then to ensure that patents are not granted for trivially different concepts, the second test of inventive step, sometimes termed non-obviousness, is also applied. Having identified the difference between the new concept and prior art, the next question, therefore, is it intentively different? To introduce objectivity, the test is applied from the point of view of the nominally skilled person who is someone considered to understand the technical field, but to have no inventive capacity themselves. One of the most simple and effective tests for inventiveness is a problem solution test, which has been developed by the European Patent Office. According to that test, once you have identified the novel difference over the prior art, you then identify whether it solves a technical problem with a prior art. If so, then you have a patentable invention. なるほど。Patentability is also limited in most jurisdictions to certain types of subject matter. For example, in Europe, the patent must relate to technical subject matter rather than, for example, mathematical methods, business method, or discoveries. An area of particular interest has been that of patenting computer programs. Many people have heard that it is not possible to patent computer programs in Europe, but the reality is rather different from this. In fact, thousands of patents are granted every year in Europe relating to computer programs, and the actual test is whether the computer program has a technical effect. Often, for example, computer programs are used to implement business methods such as financial trading systems. If the computer program is merely automating a trading system that was previously done manually, then it is not considered to involve a technical effect. If, however, the computer is used cleverly such that its operation or data storage is enhanced in conjunction with the implementation of the trading system, then a technical effect may be there and a patent may be available. Similar issues have arisen at least in Europe in relation to the medical and pharmaceutical areas. For example, methods of surgery, treatment, or diagnosis are not patentable, although the corresponding apparatus for example, an X-ray machine is the idea being that the patent system should not stop doctors saving people's lives. In the world of biotechnology, there are also exclusions, for example, to deal with ethical concerns. For example, genes can be patented, but only if the function of the gene is known. 意味はわかるけど読みにくい。あ、止めるの忘れてた。favor, confer, monopoly, 授与する confer, legal offense, patentable invention, media requirement, an underlying principle, an underlying principle, financially advantageous, assess someone's ability in the public domain, grace period, a prior art, a desire for novelty, grant a scholarship, trivially different. Lack objectivity, lack, British, これJury、イギリスの司法権、Jury、ジャッジに似てるのかな、司法権、Jurisdiction、British jurisdiction, do a task manually, data storage, enhance fuel efficiency, in conjunction with, a製薬分野 pharmaceutical, make a diagnosis, 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 X-ray, diagnosis, patentability, novel, trivial, objective. Is it legal? Is it legal to sell organs here in this country? Handout, monopoly, subject matter, in time, やがて the public at large, it, on a case-by-case basis, on a case-by-case basis, twofold, with the two limbs being, limb, inventive step. However, as far as just how different the just matter is from the prior art, it does not matter. As far as be concerned, in other Then, having identified and prior art, nominally, the European Patent Office白石麻衣の誕生日ライブよりも白石麻衣の誕生日ライブあるんですか今。よし、ちょっともう一回読もう。これ何語だ。何語か書いてないんだよな、アカデミックは。こっちにもないよな。書いてくれたらいいのに、何語かも書いてくれたらいいのに。よし。When they first appeared several hundred years ago, patents were handed out as favors and could confer monopolies for any kind of subject matter. In time, this was seen as being unfair on the public at large, and it was decided that patents should only be given for inventions. The immediate problem, therefore, was to decide what an invention was, and this has been the subject of much legal debate for many years. Nowadays, a reasonably objective test has been developed to determine whether something is a patentable invention. Although the legal debate continues on a case-by-case basis as to whether a particular concept meets the requirement or not. Fundamentally, patents relate to technical concepts, and it particularly underlying features that make them advantageous. In order to assess patentability, a new concept described in a patent is tested against everything in the public domain before the patent was first filed in the US. In some cases, an extra 1-year grace period is sometimes available. This public domain information is usually termed prior art. The test is in fact twofold, with the two limbs being novelty and inventive step. The first question, therefore, is the subject matter novel? In order to have novelty, it must be different from the prior art. However, as far as novelty is concerned, just how different does not matter. In order, then, to ensure that patents are not granted for trivially different concepts, the second test of inventive step, sometimes termed non-obviousness, is also applied. Having identified the difference between the new concept and prior art, the next question, therefore, is it inventively different? To introduce objectivity, the test is applied from the point of view of the nominally skilled person skilled person who is someone considered to understand technical field but to have no inventive capacity themselves. One of the most simple and effective tests for inventiveness is the problem solution test, which has been developed by the European Patent Office. According to that test, once you have identified the novel difference over the prior art, you then identify whether it solves a technical problem with a prior art. If so, then you have a patentable invention. 読みにくい。よし、ちょっとお疲れ様です。白石舞の誕生日ライブ。あ、そうなんですね。あれかな、こちらかな、こちらのが悪いのかな。ちょっと一旦ですね、出かけることになったんで、出かけて、その出かけても、行く先々でパパ側は勉強するんで、今日はね、せっかくなんで細切れになりますけど、勉強チャレンジということで、ずっと夜までちょっとずつやってきます。では一旦またお疲れ様でした。